Hello. 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, yeah. So I can see that there is very few people till now. So anyway, so let's start with our usual thing. So tell me, how is it going? Any questions, doubts, clarifications?
Sir, in BFS, I cannot understand the runtime of the algorithm because in which steps they are assuming the comparisons I do not get from the book.
Comparisons. So there is no comparisons in BFS. Right. So in BFS, there is no competence. BFS, you are doing you are basically so when you write some code, right, for every step you count one step. So there is no comparison in BFF at all. So the way when you can think of it is that so every edge of the graph is visited twice, right? So if you have a uv is an edge, right? So maybe I can share my screen. Yeah, so you have a graph, right? And so you start from some vertex and you then look for its neighbors. So you remember that we are always kind of so this is something I told in one of these previous lectures, that we will always think of it being given in adjacency list, meaning that when you are in the you are in uh, the vertex, say you can see the all its neighbors. Okay, so in BFS, what you do is that you look at all its neighbors, the first neighbor, second neighbor, third neighbor, and like that, right? So you will be visiting, oh, okay, what is the neighbor of you? Okay, so this is a neighbor of you. Okay, maybe I can, this is a neighbor of you, and then this is also a neighbor of you. So you will go and visit both the neighbors, right? And maybe you will mark them or something like that. Fine. So you go and visit these neighbors. Then you go after some point of time, when you are in this vertex, then also you go and visit this one's neighbors, right? So this one's neighbors. And how do you do it? You look at, so say this one is in some vertex, say V, right? And this one has some set of neighbors. You go to its neighbors, but note that U is also in one of them. So you had V over here and V has U over there. So you will go to the U and you will find that, oh, see, this vertex is already marked. So you will kind of move to the next step. So this number of steps that you do is the number of, you are basically going down the adjacency list of each of them, right? So, or in other words, for every edge, you are looking at it twice, one from this side, the one from this side. So the total number of steps, therefore, so number of steps is actually 2 times the number of edges, plus maybe the number of vertices, because you are anyway going over all the vertices, because the loop will have that go over all the vertices, right? And this is exactly what the V plus E. See, no, algorithms doesn't have to always be comparisons. When we were dealing with sorting, that time you were dealing with number of comparisons. Okay, but here we are not dealing with number of comparisons. Here we are dealing with number of steps. Now, okay, now you might say that, oh, there are other things, like for example, you are multiplying two vertices, maybe, so sorry, you are seeing whether it's something is marked or not marked. How are you doing that, and so on, right? So you can convince yourself that everything that you do, right? So you go to, say, from U, you go to V, you go and check, is V marked? If V is not marked, then you mark it. If V is marked, then you move back or something like that. You do some kind of stuff. All of them is just some constant number of steps, right? So maybe 10 steps, right? So in some sense, the number of steps, maybe you are maybe it is not 2 times E, but 2 times E into some number 10. But that 10 is constant, it's a fixed number. So in some sense, therefore, we can safely say that the number of steps is order of V plus E. Now again, if somebody is actually encoding up this whole thing, then reducing this number 10 to number 9 is a big thing, okay? And this is something that is done by the engineers a lot, about how to write a program so that it minimizes this number of these constants, okay? But for the design of an algorithm, okay, most of the time we are mostly interested in the asymptotics. We are not really interested in the constants. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Some more questions? Any more questions?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, what is priority queue? It is there in
Ah.
4.4.
Okay, what is priority queue? Okay, no, so this is something, so, right, since you guys have not been taught BFS and DFS, so these are kind of like a, let me define, so what is the priority queue? So what do you do in the case of BFS, right? In the case of BFS, what you do is that, maybe I will erase some parts, or say I have a graph like this, right? And then I have something, okay? So, so maybe let's number them, not say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, what you do is that you first look at first start with 1 and you mark it. Then you go and visit all its neighbors, right? So 2, 3, and 4. Now they will be marked somewhat differently in some sense. Let's say with the purple. What does it mean? That means you have actually visited them, but you have not considered them completely, right? So in some sense, you are done with 1. Now, once you are done with 1, you go to the next one, right? And there you kind of color the 2 red. Then you kind of look at all its neighbors, and maybe the next all its neighbors, you mark them as purple, and you go to, which one should you go now? Should you now consider 5 or 6 or 3 or 4, which one? Right? So the idea is that you should look at, so since you started with 1, so if I kind of draw a tree kind of stuff like that, you started with 1, then you looked at 2, 3, and 4. With 2, you have drawn 5 and 6, but now you should look at 3. Okay, but how do you kind of keep a track of that? How do you keep a track of which one to look at next? How do the algorithm look at? So the best way of doing it is actually to use something like an array, but think of it like a queue. Okay, meaning it's a first in, first out kind of stuff like that. Okay, so the main idea is that, let me just kind of demonstrate it for you guys. So say when I was looking at 1, right? So maybe I will color it. So when I was so initially I start with everything. So none of them are being colored, right? I need to color them back. I don't know how to color them. Okay, so all of them are white in color, right? Initially, all of them are white in color. Then you start with the first color, first one, and you put it here, right? Then when you consider one, you take the first element from here, which is one. Very good, no problem. And you kind of remove it from this. You remove this one. Okay. Then when you are looking at all its neighbors, so 2, 3, and 4, you push this 2, 3, and 4 through this queue, meaning you put number 2, number 3, and number 4, right? So now you are done with one. Then which one to look at? You look first, you take the next one, which is in this case 2, right? And you color 2 red. You remove 2 from this queue, and you are now considering number 2. So with number 2, you color all its neighbors, 5 and 6, okay? And you push in 5 and 6. So then you always look at the first one, which is number 3, right? So you will basically take number 3, you color number 3 red, you will remove number 3 from the queue, right? And you will look at all its neighbors. Now again, since 3 has neighbors only 6 and 1, both of them are marked, so they will not put anything in. Good. Then it will go to number 4. Right. So see, this is exactly how it should happen, right? It's number 4, and in number 4, it will kind of mark. First of all, it will mark 4 to be red. It will remove 4 from the queue, and it will mark its neighbors 7, and you put 7 here. So in some sense, this will be 7 over here. And then you go over this 5, 6, and 7 slowly. So basically what is happening here is that it's like a queue. Whoever enters first goes in first. Okay, so this is called a priority queue. Okay. Now, how do you construct a priority queue? See, these are like data structures, right? So you can construct a priority queue. So priority queue is basically what you can do is that you can what is called N queue, meaning you have two operations. One is called N queue. N queue meaning you put a value inside a queue, and one is called a D queue. Now the main idea is that N queue will put the value at the last, and D queue will take the value from the first. Okay. And using linked list, you can easily construct this data structure. Okay.
Sir?
So, yeah.
Hello. When I have one as marked, then I have 3 options, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And here we are choosing 2. Why not 3 and 4?
No, you can choose 3 and 4 also, doesn't matter. But whichever you push into the queue first, you should do it. Okay. So there are 2 or 3 different ways of kind of choosing. You can either choose it from the labels. So whichever label is less, you can choose first or something. I mean, it doesn't matter. BFS actually doesn't matter which one you choose. The main idea is that you should look at all its neighbors first. Okay, so this is called priority queue. So, so you can take it as a kind of a small. So if particularly for people who kind of enjoy programming, and even otherwise also maybe, you should kind of take it as a small problem to write a pseudocode. So not pseudocode, write a C program or any program rather. Okay. That kind of produces a queue that kind of simulates priority queue. So what do you have to do? You have to basically write a program that has these two operations, the enqueue and dequeue. So you have to basically create a linked list, and you have to create the enqueue and dequeue program. So enqueue will of course take in some particular value, enqueue of x, meaning you put the x into the queue. Dequeue doesn't take any value. Dequeue will output a value. It will take the element from the queue, the first element in the queue, and output.
So,
Yeah.
this is just a LIFO structure, right?
It is just a LIFO structure.
So, I think all of us have already done that in first sem.
Oh, you have done that? Very good. Actually,
I think we were told it was
no, it
named-
is not LIFO structure. It is the FIFO structure or whatever.
Sorry,
First in, first out.
Yeah. I think we were, this was named queue for us rather than priority.
Yeah, the same thing. Okay. Yeah, good. So if you have done that, then perfect. Now, I should also say that what happens in the case of a DFS. In the DFS, you do the opposite. Now, what should you do for DFS? Say, if I try to copy this graph over here, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So DFS would be, you should basically, I mean, maybe I should not define this graph. Let me say, yeah, so maybe they don't have this edge. Okay. Yeah, so say this edge. Forget this edge also. Okay, so consider this graph. Or maybe I will just add a. Okay, let's just be there. Okay. So what happens if you look at it, right? Then the idea is that you go again the first vertex, then you look at its neighbor. Okay, so you go to 2. Then you look at its neighbor. Then look at 5. See, note that none of them are done completely. Okay, you're marking them just with red. But now 5 doesn't have any, you kind of rush through in some sense. You go as far as you can. And at that time you have got stuck. And then you say that, oh, good. So now I've got stuck. Does 5 have any more neighbor that is not marked? No, 5 doesn't have any more neighbor. 5 has only neighbor 2. So that's not. So I need to go back. So now I will like to mark 5 purple. And I go back to 2. Okay, I go back to this number 2, and then I look at which all edges, which all vertex, which all new neighbors that does it have. Then oh, so it has a neighbor 6. Okay. Then you look at, okay, what all neighbor does it have? It has neighbor 3. So see, I mean, I am basically going here, here, then here, and then here. Now at this point again, 3 doesn't have any more neighbors that is not marked. So at this point, you also want to come back, right? And now you should consider 6, the last one that you have considered, right? Not 2, not 1, but 6. And at 6, you find that, oh, see, 6 has a neighbor to 7, 7 has a neighbor to 4. And then again, you get stuck. And then again, you kind of mark 4 purple, and you go back to the last neighbor that you have seen, a last thing that you visited, which is 7. And 7 also doesn't have any single neighbor which is not marked. You go back to this previous one, which is 6. Now, how do you do this, right? And that is the main idea. How do you do this? Right. So the last one that I came from should be the one that I should go back. Right. So in some sense, it is slightly different. So if this is BFS, in BFS, you should always consider the vertex. The next vertex to consider is the vertex that was the earliest thing that I have kind of touched. And in the case of DFS, I should always go back to the vertex that is the last vertex that I have touched. Right? So for that, what we need is what is called a stack. So this is actually exactly LIFO, the last in, first out. Right? So maybe if I kind of then try to reconstruct it here. Okay, I am at 1, so I pop in 1. Then from here I go to 2, then I pop in 2. Then I go to 5, so I go to pop in 5. At this point, I am at 5. Okay. Now I have to consider 5. I see that 5 has nothing, right? So at that point, I mark 5 purple and remove 5 from the top one. Note that where have I landed now? I have landed in 2. And this is exactly where I should land, right? I am in 2. Then I go to 6. So I pop in 6. Then I go to 3. I pop in 3. See, the last one, the one that is in the top of the stack is one that I am at. At this point, 3, I don't have any neighbor. So I will color 3 purple and I will pop this stack. Right? So actually I have been using the wrong word. It's called the push. I mean, like you should push into this stack and you go back to the 6, right? Right, here it is 6. So you should look into what anything else that 6 has. Oh yeah, 6 has 7. So you go in 7. So you push 7 in, then you go to 4 and you go push 4 in. And then again you get stuck and you start removing it. So you color 4 to be purple and you push 4 out. Sorry, the pop 4 out. So what I need is, so this is exactly the LIFO structure, last in, first out. Okay, and this is what should it support? It should support these two things called push a particular element, and pop. Pop is nothing but it produces the one from the top. So you have these two data structures that you use, queue and stack, priority queue and stack. These are the two things that are used for the BFS and DFS. So as somebody pointed out, I am certain that you have done these things in your first year course, right? First year programming course, I assume, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. So is this clear? Whoever asked this question, is it clear? About the priority queue? Okay. I am not getting an answer. So please tell me if it is not clear so that I can repeat it if required. Okay. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So any more questions?
So for the BFS,
Yeah.
when we choose 2, then we are after that we are choosing 3 and 4, right?
Yes.
Not but then when first we choose 1, then 2, then we have 4 options, 5, 6, 3 and 4.
Right.
Then
Yes.
we have to choose
3.
3 or 4, not
3 or 4,
5,
doesn't matter which one. Yeah. But you
not
should
5 or 6.
not 5 or 6. That is
But
very
5
important.
and 5 and 6 are also in the option.
No, they are in the option, but they are not. So you should always look at in BFS. You should so you should look at depth wise.
Yeah, BFS I know, but this is exactly as BFS.
No, in BFS. So in which one you are saying, depth first or breadth first?
Breadth first.
In breadth first, you should always look at depth this wise. Okay, it is like, so you should first consider all of them as depth 1.
No, no, sir. I
Then
am saying BFS and priority queue. I mean, what is the difference? I mean, BFS is doing this way, that 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, like that.
yes, that is priority queue. I mean, you use priority queue to kind of to produce BFS, right? How
Oh,
do you
okay, okay.
how do you remember? So you have been looking at 2, then you have produced 5 and 6. How do you remember that you have to go back to 3?
Oh, okay.
Right? It's the machine, it's the computer, right? You have to kind of tell them how to remember it, right?
Okay.
So to remember where to go back, you need this priority queue.
Actually, we are using priority queue for BFS and DFS and this
No,
kind
you are
of-
using priority queue only for BFS.
and that for DFS that is also that is stack.
Yes. For DFS, you are using the stack because this is where you have to use the last one that was gone in.
Oh, okay, okay, sir. I understand.
Okay, so for BFS, you are using. So yes, I mean, say don't try to kind of memorize it. There's no reason for memorizing of what is going on. Okay, you try to just understand. In BFS, you should always kind of remember these layers, right? I mean, think of it that not 1 to 4, right? This is like some thousand of them are there. Now you don't remember which of them are there. Now 2 also has a thousands of neighbors. After 2, after you have gone through thousands of neighbors, marked them and all, you should still remember to go back to 3 or go back to this layer, right? So how do you do it? Okay, the thing that I have first touched. So if I have touched 3 before 6, I should go to 3. I should first complete 3's case, then I go to 5's case, right? And this is exactly what is called BFS. Okay, so it is very, I can give you a very nice analogy actually. Say you have 5 courses to study, right? You have an exam, you have 5 courses. How can you study these 5 courses? So you have, say, algorithms, you have maybe probability, you have I don't know, some, say, algebra, something like that. Say 5 courses. So you can choose this following 2 techniques. One technique is that you can say that, okay, let me first study the first class or first chapter of all the subjects. Then after I've touched the first chapter of all the subjects, you go back to the first course, which is say algorithms, and you look at the second chapter of that subject, right? And then you go back to algebra and you read the second chapter of that subject, right? So you are doing it in a breadth wise. You are trying to do everything in a very breadth wise manner. Okay. The other option is to say that, okay, I don't know, I am just now going to focus only on algorithms and finish algorithms. Then I will look at algebra and finish algebra. So that is a depth wise, right? You want to be, so this is exactly what goes on here. Okay. So you should always remember, so when you are doing a breadth wise, you should always remember what is the which, say when you are doing algorithms, you should not forget which chapter of algebra were you studying before, right? Because once you are done with the next chapter of algorithm, you should go back to algebra and study the next chapter, right? So that is why you need this priority queue. This is the BFS. And the DFS, you kind of run as much as you can. Maybe you'll get stuck somewhere and then you come back. Maybe in say a statistics course, you need a particular thing from probability. You get stuck and you come back and then study something. So, I mean, this is not an analogy that I made up. Actually, this is something that is used a lot in our research. So research is basically, I mean, you can either become a master of one subject, which is a DFS, or you can kind of try to be, I mean, somewhat good in many subjects, and that is BFS. Okay, so is this clear? Whatever, any doubts, more questions?
Sir, regarding the connectivity of the graph, like if you want to check if 2 points are connected,
Right.
then using BFS, like we get 5 and 6, like the tree that you have drawn where 5 and 6 are not connected, but actually in the graph they are connected. So
5 and 6 is connected. What do you mean they're not connected? They're connected like this.
Like, okay. Like now, if you want to check that if
No,
they
see,
have like
connected doesn't mean that there is an edge. Connected means that there is a path.
yeah.
Connectedness is not about number of whether there is an edge or not. Connectedness is that this is a path. Okay, a tree is always connected. So what do I mean by not connected? Say if I have this graph and maybe a graph here, okay, 8, 9, 10. So you start from 1, you go and finally color all of them, mark all of them, and then you see that, okay, is there any vertex that is not yet marked? And then you go down and say, oh yeah, number 8 is not marked. That means after I've done BFS, I must have colored, I mean, that's the, if I have done the BFS or DFS, whatever of them correctly, I must have colored all the connected component of 1 red at the end. I must have visited all the vertices in the connected component of 1. So if something is not colored or not marked, that means that that vertex is not in the connected component of 1. So 1 and 8 are not connected. Okay, yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more doubts? No more doubts? Okay. By the way, I must say that I'm a bit surprised about Chundrima, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it means that the total number of participants today is 26. And I don't know why, but every Thursday I'm finding that the number of participants will be much lesser than the number of people who are joining on Tuesday. Do you guys have any idea what is going on? I mean, I asked you guys to kind of find out what was, if there is any internet issue or something like that, or did you guys manage to contact them? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
You're audible.
I'm audible, that I can understand.
Sir, I guess it's mostly lack of motivation at the end of week.
Oh, okay. So, okay. So someone sent me a chat saying that you need a 1 week off. Requesting a 1 week off for catching up with this course. So I assume that there will be a 1 week off at some point of time soon enough. But yeah. Okay, so let me see. I will try to give you a 1 week off sometime soon. Okay. Any more? I can see. Right. Okay, I will get back to that 1 week off thing later on. So, by the way, just to kind of, I mean, if you can also unmute and tell me, I mean, are you finding this course to be, I mean, how fast are you finding this course or something like that? Or is it, have you guys lost your interest in algorithms already?
Sir, the course is fine, but it's going a bit fast. I mean, we are not able to catch up. We are lagging a week right now. I mean, at least I am lagging a week right now.
Okay. Okay.
So also, sir, if you can like what you teach in class and what we have to do in homework, like we have to write like pseudo codes and explain things formally, and you do it informally in class, and that transition that takes a bit more effort. So many people find it a bit difficult and kind of.
Okay. So okay. So maybe okay, for this problem that you told just now. So maybe I can do is that I can spend one class, okay, or one, maybe I can ask the TAs to kind of take a tutorial and trying to formalize some of the things. Maybe I can take up a few problems and write it up in the more formal way. Will that help? Or maybe
Yes,
I can
sir.
give you some small videos maybe on that.
Yes, sir, that will help, I think.
Okay, so sure, I will do that. I mean, maybe for, since you guys have done some of the quizzes, right? So not quizzes, the assignments. So I will possibly ask someone to go over some of the assignments and how to kind of maybe how one would like to present that one in the formal way, and similarly this BFS and DFS and these things in this formal. Yeah. See, this is the problem with algorithms, I must say, because at the end of the day, you have to think of the algorithms intuitively, because else you will not be able to solve any problems. Okay. But when you have to write an algorithm, or when you have to finally formalize and kind of program an algorithm or something like that, then you have to go back to the formalization. So you have to be kind of comfortable with kind of both of them. Intuitively what the algorithm is doing, what are the steps of that, and how to write it up formally. I can understand that can take some time, but okay, I will do that. So that is fine. So any more suggestions, any other comments? Please feel free, I will not mind at all.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Sir, what we can do is like, let's say, like we can do it in 2 weeks, once in 2 weeks or something like that, every alternate week or something like that. So we can do, what we can do is like, we can, in 2 weeks, whatever, important, for example, in the sorting week, let's say the heap sort was something, which would require some more effort or something which we would not have seen or something like that. So like if you can collect all, let's say heap sort ho gaya, and then 2 or 3 more concepts, let's say BFS, DFS also, like 2 or 3 topics, and we can have a tutorial on those 3 topics. Like it can be in the most critical things that we must know, like going forward or something like that. So if we can have a recap session like that, like in the tutorial, like as a tutorial or something,
Okay, fine, sure.
maybe formally or in any ways, like in some way, then I think it would help to reinforce the concept. Even if we are lagging behind, those critical concepts will be reinforced. So when you move ahead, let's say, because you have a certain target and you have to complete that, so when you move ahead, we will be in a certain situation wherein we can follow it, and then later on we can we
Sure,
will not
sure.
be totally lost. So I think that can be
No,
done.
so I can have it every week also in that respect. I mean, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
ask
matlab,
the PS
that's
to
a
have a Saturday thing to kind of recap whatever things have been done, to go over some of the concepts and all.
Yes, sir. So I said to it once or 2 weeks because I mean, like people might also would need some time to assimilate it also. But okay, one
That
in every week we can have,
sure,
or but
sure,
something
sure,
like that, something along that line.
sure, sure. Yeah,
And
that certainly we can do. That I will.
that will actually help a lot.
Hmm.
And apart from that, sir, everything is fine. Like, that is one thing that is happening. I mean, sometimes what happens is, like, there are certain parts that we need some more
Right.
time to work on that, and by the time we are working on that, the next 2 or 3 things pile up. So sometimes we can't, the flow is not there.
Sure. Okay. 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 I mean, the comment noted. Yeah. Some more comments? Any more comments?
So if possible, like, I mean, I would want more practice problems. I don't know if people want them.
Yeah, no, I also agree. We can have more
Something
practice, and we can have this also, I also agree. Like, we can have more practice problem and discussions also. Like, matlab,
Sure.
that would
like something that doesn't need to be submitted, because else people will kill me.
Okay. Yeah, so practice problems, we will be kind of posting it. I mean, I will ask the TS to produce some more practice problems. But I mean, just as a kind of a thumb rule, I must say that, so this is something that I can see. There are these 3 books that have been posted in the web page, right? And all the 3 books are very good books. Okay. So, and all the topics that are being done will be from that book, those books. All of them will be covered because they are like the most basic concepts of algorithms. So you will always find very good problems in the books. Okay, so feel free to try them out. If you have any questions, so one thing that I would really ask you guys to do a bit more is to use the, I mean, when you have some particular problem, say anyone has a problem, okay, first of all, I'm sure that you guys are talking to each other, but maybe you can all meet together actually at some point of time and just discuss some problems yourselves. So if you want to use the Zoom link or something like that, I will be happy to kind of I mean, allow you to use my Zoom link, and you guys can just chat on these problems. Because many times, if you guys discuss with yourselves, then lot of this concept becomes clear. Okay, I mean, I can understand that with this social distancing stuffs and all going on in the virtual world, this is not happening that often, and that's a big problem. So you have to kind of do it yourself. So if you guys just tell me, so maybe some of you who can kind of volunteer to kind of coordinate and just tell me this, that can you just have a Zoom link now? We will just like to chat with among ourselves. I'll be happy to let you do it anytime. Okay, so that is one thing. The other thing is that also, so this classroom thing that you there, you guys can chat on that also. If you have any doubts on a problem, so maybe I have not even given that problem. Maybe that problem is there in some book or some other place. Feel free to ask about it, or try it and just ask that, okay, is it has anybody got it? And if you are not getting it, you can of course ask or the PS that do you have any suggestions or something like that, or can we have a sessions for this kind of for discussing these things? Okay, so I will really encourage you. So while I will ask the TAs to organize a regular tutorial, okay, that I say anyway, the Saturday slot has been kept as a tutorial, and I will ask the TAs to have a tutorial, regular tutorial. Whoever wants, it's not that it is not a compulsory thing, but if you are interested, feel free to come, ask them questions, do I mean, and talk to them. As I told you in the beginning also, that when so I explain the concept in some way, right? And sometimes if somebody else explains the concepts, then that might help in getting more clarity. So that's why having some other people like the TAs to do it is a good thing, or your friends. That's the best thing. I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that many times you learn this stuff from your own friends by talking to yourselves, discussing among yourselves, and so on, right? So I will really encourage you guys to do it. We will try to put up a lot more problems, but as I told you also, there are lots and lots of problems available to you guys. Okay, the books have full of problems, and all the books are available online. So if you don't find any of the book online, let me know. I'm sure you will be able to find it, or I can even send you the soft copy of it. Okay, and in that book there will be problems, lots and lots of problems, very nice problems at the end of the corresponding chapters, right? And try them. You completely have full liberty to asking us questions on those problems. That how do you kind of I mean, we have been trying to solve this one, we are not getting it, or something like that. Okay, ask. Yeah.
A suggestion.
Yeah.
The first assignment that we did,
Yes.
could you please upload a formal solution to say a couple of the problems as how to write it?
Okay, sure. Yeah, that is actually, anyways, we were supposed to do that, and it's my fault. I mean, I should have done that. Yeah. So Chandrima, can you please take a note of this one?
Yeah, sure.
And we will have a chat, and we will try to do it as soon as possible. Maybe in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That will have to. I mean, that will do. Yeah, so the other thing that I was thinking, that so since already couple of you have kind of told me that you guys are lagging behind by a week or something, and there is this whole thing about whether we should take a break or not. So how do you do it? Okay, so let's do this thing. Okay, so let's okay, I mean, so I mean, see, although I have to finish certain things that is according to the course structure and course material and all, but it is fine. I am completely happy to teach slightly less. My goal, my job as a teacher is to kind of get you motivated and interested in this topic, make you learn whatever you learn, you should learn it properly. And that is what I think is most important. So I don't want to rush into things at all. So maybe what we can do is that we can spend the next week kind of, I mean, in fact, particularly because you guys have not done BFS and DFS in that details, and this is two topics that are quite interesting. So what I will do is that let's not yeah, so basically so I was thinking of doing this section 4.5 or something like that, this class or something, but I suggest that instead we have only I mean tutorial sessions, or just sessions on discussions on BFS and DFS and whatever has been done till now, a little bit on that direction in the next Tuesday. Okay, and Saturday and Tuesday let us have it, and then we can maybe have a break for 1 or 2 days, and then we will can come back to it. So basically all I'm saying is that we will slow down now for a 1 week. We will discuss basically things that are related to or whatever has been done till now, discuss the problems that has been given to you guys, the assignments, discuss the discuss this concept of BFS and DFS, because this is a very interesting area, and we will discuss some more of it, and we will basically start with the section 4 that was your reading material, maybe not even next week, maybe the week after that. Does it sound fine? Hello.
Yes, sir.
And in the meantime, yeah, so let us have a meeting on this Saturday also. Okay, I will, so it will be more like a tutorial. Okay, so you guys have an assignment due on when is the assignment due? Tuesday, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tuesday or Monday? Do you remember?
Monday night.
Monday night, excellent. So yeah, so let's stick with that Monday night, so that on Tuesday and we can discuss that assignment also if required, and yeah. So maybe in the next
Can we
yeah,
have a recap of what we have done till now?
yes. So on Saturday, let us have a recap of whatever we have done till now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I think yeah. So that is yeah. Okay. So good. Okay. So maybe I will then stop here now. I mean, is there any other question? I will be happy to take that question. Some more questions or some more comments?
Sir, for question 6 in assignment,
Right.
do we have to give the bound for n factorial? What bound are you using? Do we have to prove it?
I mean, you don't have to prove. I mean, what do you mean you prove it? I mean, you can use the Starling approximation and all those things.
Do we have to prove it? Or...
No, you don't have to prove Starling approximation.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can use Starling approximation.
Sir, I was trying to do questions with n log and sorting algorithms.
Right.
But finding the expectation was more difficult than expected.
Finding this for the which one, for quick sort?
Yeah, for n log and sorting algorithms. So question 7 was bucket sort via.
Right. Question 7, right. So with the n log, so yeah, n log n becomes a bit more tricky. Okay, but I think if you use n squared, that's slightly easier.
Yes, sir. N square was done.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a bit ugly calculation. That's all. Yeah, instead of the n log n algorithm, maybe if you use insertion sort, then the calculations becomes a slightly easier.
So can we use insertion sort?
Hmm?
Can we use insertion sort?
Yeah, any of them fine, right? Insertion
Okay,
sort.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I think it will come down to the expected quantity will be order n. Okay, so which is basically, I mean, the best that you can hope for, right? How can an expected running time be less than n?
So do we have some condition on number of buckets?
No. I mean, like you can think of it as a parameter. Yeah. Think of it as a parameter. Whatever number of buckets that you want to use, you can use. But that is something which is fixed.
So the asymptotic behavior should not depend on the number of buckets.
I mean, use it as a parameter and then you'll see. Yeah, yeah. Actually, if you take number of buckets to be something like order n, then you will get it. An order expected value will become order n.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, so if not, so I will maybe not go too much today. I will not do something too much. I mean, not do anything today now. We will meet on Saturday at 11:30 and discuss whatever things that we have done so far. Okay, and maybe try to do some of the formalizations that is required for that. Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Okay then, good. So, okay, see you then.
Thank you, sir.